All right, today we're going to tackle the vacuum pump on this thing. If you guys watched the to-do list video, you know the cruise control has kind of been one of the issues with this truck for me. I'm going to pop this thing out of here because I have a pretty good idea what's wrong with it. I've been trying to kind of diagnose and troubleshoot this issue for a couple of summers now. It shuts off when going up a hill. If I help it with the accelerator, basically with my foot on the accelerator, it will climb the hill and the cruise won't turn off. If I don't help it, once it hits about 55-60% engine load, which I can see on my bully dog, it'll just shut off. And then I have to pull over, turn the truck off for a few seconds, turn it back on before I can get the cruise to set again. And then I have to keep watching for hills, and every time I come up to a hill I have to just always be on that throttle a little bit and help it out, otherwise it'll just turn off again. So it's kind of a pain. There's a set of points in there that run the little motor, so we'll take this thing out of here and we'll take it apart and we'll see what we can do with it. Okay, so let me just pop this cover open here. I've had it apart before, so I know more or less what's under there and how it comes off. So this is the replacement motor that I bought, and this is the original. The original, I know the motor itself is burnt out. The vacuum line was broken for a long time, and these motors run basically non-stop as soon as your key is on. So I got this one, and I'm having issues with this one not consistently turning on when the vacuum drops. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's these points. They seem to carry the whole load of the motor, so there's a bit of amperage going through there, and I think they just kind of get hot and arc and then stop working. So I don't know if you guys, how well you guys can see those. So my idea now is basically to take these wires off and use these points to trip a relay. I got a 30 amp relay here, so instead of all the current going through these points, I want the relay to take the current to drive the motor, and this just be the switch on and off for the relay basically. So very little current will be going through there. My idea is to just clean the points up a little bit so they make good contact, and that's it. It should be good. The one thing I did notice is there's two little adjustment screws. There's one there and one underneath. So I play with those adjustments a little bit with my vacuum pump on here. And this one, the aftermarket set of points, is not as accurate and it's not as easy to adjust as the original. This one seems to be a lot more responsive to the adjustments and a lot more precise. So being that these are the same, I'm going to use the point system off the burnt motor one to trip my relay, because it's just a little more accurate and I can tune it a little nicer. I think the points are just better quality on the original one. Then probably drill like a little hole to run the wires out to my relay that I was showing you guys earlier. I'll mount the relay on the firewall, and I have positive and negative coming into this motor already, so I got everything I need to run this relay. I noticed it does have some little capacitors on here that I probably will keep, but or resistors maybe, I'm not sure. I'll have to take it apart and see what that is. Okay, so it looks like the original housing does fit on the aftermarket one. Might not be as tight, but it does click into place. Everything seems to be the same size. So obviously the aftermarket is just a copy. Pretty good copy, I guess. Now I'll show you guys how I adjusted the points for the different vacuum. Okay, so I have my test light set up. And this is basically going to mimic the motor, vacuum motor. And then I got my vacuum gauge here. Whoops. Hook the leads back up. So as I pump it up here, there's 10 inches of vacuum, 15. So at 15 inches of vacuum, the motor will turn off, and then if I let it bleed off, it'll turn back on at about 12 and a half. And these points seem to be working from the old motor quite well still, making good contact, looks like. Talking about 3 inches of vacuum, maybe 2.5, that it will allow it to drop. So I'm pretty happy with that. So this screw will adjust your pressure off. So this screw is the one I adjusted to get 15 inches before the points clicked off. This screw is your bottom, so that's when it will turn it back on. So now I got this one adjusted to 12. Now you have a little bit of adjustability, but not a ton, because these screws basically push the points towards each other, so then there's like less room for the points to move. The more you try to adjust, close the gap between the on and off, the less room you have for the points to click back and forth. So you gotta be a little bit careful with that. You can't go too crazy. So now it's just a matter of just cleaning them a little bit and starting to wire in that relay. Okay, so there it is. I'm gonna just shorten the wires as I need them. I got this blue one, whatever color that is. That's gonna be my trigger wire for the relay. Just made it a different color, but essentially it's just gonna be triggering the ground. But at least I know on the relay which one's the trigger, which one's the ground. If it comes down to troubleshooting down the road, having a couple of different colors makes it a little easier. And then the two reds are just it's going to be the switch power for the motor from the relay. So that's simple. Okay, so I just took the pump and plugged it into the harness and hooked up the vacuum hose on the bottom there, and which goes along the firewall there. There's also an accumulator underneath the wipers right in here, and then the only other place it really goes is along the firewall and down to the cruise actuator, which is under the second battery on the other side. So I'm going to turn the key on and just see what's going on here. Make sure that the pump that I didn't set it, too high or something like that, and it can't keep up with filling the actuator and everything else. And also make sure I don't have any other leaks. Yeah, you can hear the pump going. So I'm assuming it's vacuumed up right now. We'll give it a sec here. Let the vacuum drop a bit. Yeah, turned on by itself. Turned off by itself. That's great. The relay is right here. Haven't mounted anything yet. Give it a minute here again. Yeah, perfect. Alright guys, so the vacuum pump's installed there. I'm going to try to show you guys, but it's basically right here. There's where the wire comes out, and then I've put the little relay right here. It's really tough to get the camera in there to show you guys. Like, I didn't film installing this because it's not that big of a deal. Basically, there's these little rubber grommets you pull through. There's 3 of them, and that's all that mounts to that pump, to the bracket. And then you have your power connection, and then you have your vacuum hose connection right here, and that's about it. So yeah, we're gonna give this a try this summer, and it seems to be working really well now with the key on. Before, there's many times where I've turned the key on and this thing wasn't even kicking in, so hopefully that's good now. Okay, well, that was a simple little job, but it's nice to have that off the list, and it's going to be very nice to have a working cruise again. Now, I'm saying that with a grain of salt because I haven't driven this truck yet, but I will in a couple of months. So if there's any issues with what we've done here, I will give you an update. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and like the video if you liked it, and maybe even subscribe. That would be awesome. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one.